China. Chinese exports. This glut of Chinese exports all around the world is causing an anomaly to the world order. Well, not the world order, but to the world's economy. This is according to the French finance minister, Bruno Le Maire. And he's saying the entire world economy is at risk of a glut of cheap Chinese exports. Now, I've been thinking about this, and I was thinking about the BYD cars, the EV cars, and I was thinking, okay. I was putting products into two sort of groups. Products that have a long life, or you would hope it'd have a long life, that means you might keep them for several years. And then you've got products like mobile phones, for instance, that 2, 3, 4 years and they're gone. A car, should have a life on the road much longer than that. But it will require parts, whether it be for general maintenance or whether something that just breaks. You're going to need parts. So buying a Chinese motor vehicle requires Chinese parts, or even semiconductors from Taiwan, for instance. When you consider what China's ambitions are with Taiwan, there's TWC. We could end up putting ourselves in a very precarious position, especially if Vladimir Putin decides that a war's a good idea. Well, he's already invaded Ukraine, There's a lot of disharmony going on at the moment between the West and Vladimir Putin. There's a possibility. But you don't honestly think that China is going to carry on supplying us, do you? Russia's one of their allies. If they do carry on supplying, they're going to start squeezing the supply. Same with India. And what we've done is we've put ourselves in a position where we're very dependent, and dangerously so, on external supply within the supply chain, as in from these Asian superpowers, such as especially China. Now the BYD car, for instance, there's been a lot of controversy about that, and a lot of discussion regarding whether it should be sanctions, should we let them into the country, this, that, and the other. But you see, even if they did allow them into the country, at some point they could say no, because there is, it's disharmony there. You've got obviously like German car manufacturers, they might have something to say about it. French car manufacturers might have something to say about it. I don't see why they're going to like it. Chinese car manufacturers exporting into the EU, for instance. The same, obviously, in the United States. I don't know about the UK because that's completely utterly messed up, isn't it? But if there's a problem in the future, how are we going to get the parts for maintenance or repairs? I can't for the life of me think they're going to supply us, or they will or they'll reduce the supply, put a stranglehold on us. It's bound to happen if there's an issue. Plus, we're obviously giving China too much control over us. Some people say that China's got too many dollars, and they could crash the economy in the US, for instance, if they wanted to. Well, there's other ways of doing it. You can do it with product and supply. You can bring the supply chain up, so industry can't function. Industry relies too much on stuff coming from China, whether it be components or even finished products, and just put a label on it. Well, so I happen to agree with them. So it's saying here that we have an issue with the economic model for the global, in which China is producing more and more cheaper industrial devices, because it could be a threat not only for the EU, but also for the US, but for the global world economy. What's happened with China, right? They get monies, don't they? Basically, they're sucking us dry. And we're just constantly just keep funneling more and more money to China from all these products that we keep buying, and components and what have you, and devices. And it's not, and while we keep, until we actually wake up and actually say, hang on, enough is enough, it's going to keep on happening, isn't it? They're going to carry on doing the same model, and will become. They will rule us by default. It'll just happen that way. They'll have us by the short and curlies. There's plenty of ways to control people, you know. The leading industrialised nations are coalescing for a tougher and more united challenge to overcapacities in China, which they say threaten their domestic manufacturers. Yes, there's that too as well, you know. Here in France, I don't know in the UK, so most these days, but in France, there's a lot of domestic manufacturers. A lot of stuff says Fabricant en France and stuff like that on them. You know, like for instance, like a lot of clothes and stuff you buy here are actually made in France. Like Gemmo is made in France. If you know Gemmo clothes store, if you live in France, you probably do. The G7 finance chiefs meeting in Stresa, Italy, I don't know how you pronounce that, but cited the country by name as they agreed to respond to harmful practices and to consider taking steps to ensure level playing field. And those words marked an escalation from the sparse and more neutral language on trade that they standardly used in communications, and yeah. And their statement followed Washington's announcement on Friday that President Joe Biden will reimpose tariffs on hundreds of goods imported from China. Now, when you consider what's going on between the United States and the European Union at the moment, the EU's got a trade deficit of 47, 48 billion with the United States, which clearly is obviously beneficial. Which basically the EU selling a lot of stuff to the United States because they need stuff still. And there are manufacturers here as well. So obviously, you know, they're buying from here instead of China because of obviously the sanctions and the tariffs and what have you has increased the cost of China's products. So why buy them from China? Why not buy them from Europe, for instance, instead? The EU's potential levies are expected to be significantly lower than the US's. So they are going to be levying China based on different approach within the World Trade Organization rules and procedures. This is actually going to put a lot of British products at even more risk because obviously you've got sanctioned products in the EU, for instance, and the UK is not sanctioning Chinese components for products that could be sold in the EU. Not as easy as it used to be, I must say, but they could find themselves blocked as well. Just good. I just think we all need to wake up, really, because we do buy too much stuff from China. I've got no problem with the Chinese people and stuff like that, but I've got a problem with too much power, and we're handing over too much power because basically we're just funneling money to them, and they ain't got to do anything other than build a product, and we just buy it, and we're buying it on price. And stuff in China is not necessarily that cheap anymore anyway. It's becoming almost comparable. It's just that they've got a monopoly on it. And they've got their own problems, haven't they, obviously, regarding the economy and what have you. But yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? How do you put curbs on manufacturers buying Chinese components when no one else is buying them? Or no one else, is not necessarily making this stuff? It's just going to make everything expensive, isn't it? And who are we paying that? It'll be just ordinary folk. The customers. Somebody's got to pay. What say you? Please leave it in the comments down below. Toodaloo.